They can't hear us yet. Now they can hear us.
We're live.
We're live.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
I'm Jenny.
And I'm Paul. I'm sitting up way high. Way up
Yeah,
high.
you make me look a lot bigger and taller than you. So we're Palette Knives Out Artcast, formerly Gogh Art Crate. I know all you guys probably know who we are by now because you've subscribed to the channel and whatnot. We are always looking for new subscribers. We just lowered, offered a, you explain it. We offered a...
So, yeah, we have offered a second tier membership for $2.99 a month, which is just live streams only. So that's it. You get the 2 live streams a month.
Yeah, $2.99 a month. So if you know someone who wants to paint but isn't maybe like fully 100% committed yet and just wants to do a couple live streams a month with us, please let them know. $2.99 a month.
$2.99 sounds like a great deal. Great deal, great deal.
Cheaper than a coffee at Starbucks.
It is. And then obviously the $6.99 a month membership gets you the full meal deal where you get all of our past tutorials.
All of them.
All that
hundreds.
Fun goodness.
I mean, tutorials from 2019 on up. That's like 5 years. It's crazy. Crazy. Ah, hey, Daniel. Good to see you on here.
I'm going to put Daniel in timeout.
Why are you putting
no,
Daniel?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
What are you doing anyway?
I'm trying to see, and I'll explain it to you later.
Okay. Well, today we are painting a fun cupcake painting, and I realized I put it way over here. So
why did you do that? Oh my goodness, Jenny.
Why don't you go ahead and zoom in on our...
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Marlene. Good to see you here. Nice paintings. I just saw them on our Facebook page and just commented on those. Those are amazing. I think you're going to be teaching your own classes pretty soon here. So this is our cupcake painting. Let me try to get it on screen. I don't know what this is. Is that something you need?
Probably.
Actually, I think that's the Visa card charger thing. So anyway, cupcake. Years ago, I worked in a cupcake shop right here in Newburgh, and it was really popular during the cupcake craziness phase. And I was their cake decorator and assistant baker. I was trying to think of the name of it. Assistant head baker.
Something seems baked right now.
It's not me. Well, it is very hot outside.
It's not.
Yes, it is. It's over 90, and that's hot for me. But I can tolerate it. Hi, Susan. Good to see you on here. So this one, really funny the way it came together. It started as a cupcake, and then it became a cake with a slice cut out, and it just, I was not connecting with the painting at all. And then it went right, I just was like, I kind of had a screw it moment, and I just did a really fast and sloppy painting of this part. And then I started working on the frosting. I was like, you know what, I really like the way this is turning out. So this is what became our painting.
Now, to be fair, it's 89 degrees outside, so it is not over 90.
Thank you. I think that painting is cute too. And I like having the different expressionist color down in here. I just think it makes it really fun and allows us to add some more color without, you know, changing things too drastically. When we did the post on this, I did mention that this particular one will lend itself to all kinds of different acrylic colors. We're just going to be using our standard 6 colors that we've been using for months. That's the De La Rowney Process set. Let me grab the, sorry if I'm bumping the table. That's this one. You can buy this on Amazon. Or most art stores, probably Blick will carry that. And I think it's around $25 to $30.
What's that, the paint set?
Yeah.
I think it's around 30-ish.
Yeah, pretty good deal.
Yeah, something like that.
So let's go ahead and get going on it. We're going to sketch out the cupcake first. And I think we want this to be very, we don't want to be rigid with this one. It's got a lot of sloppy streaks of paint, and that's part of what makes it look so fun and not overly cartoony. So it's going to be, we want to get away from the being rigid with it, and that's something, you know, that I work on a lot. Mentally, it's a mental game for me. But the cupcake is the star of the show. You've got all this canvas to work with, make it nice and big, so don't do any tiny little cupcakes in the middle unless that's what you want. Let's have a look at our brushes. These are our Fabulous 4 we've been using. These you can also buy on Amazon, and it's just the Princeton, I think it's the 9500 series. I'm trying to remember right. But basically, you don't have to use the printed ones. You want a 1" to 3/4 inch to 1" brush. The second one, this one I use the most, it's a 1/8 inch brush, number 8. And then we have a number 4, which is about close to, oh, this is a 1/4 inch, I'm sorry. This is about an 1/8 inch, and then our little round detail brush. So if you have something in a selection of sizes, you're gonna be good. Let's go ahead and take our number 8 brush to start. That's your 1/4 inch one. Dip it in the water cup just to loosen up those bristles. Blot it dry. And we're going to mix white and yellow ochre so we get a very pale beige. It's a good color to sketch with. I'll make mine a little darker just so that you guys can see on the camera what I'm drawing, but you can make yours a little lighter than this, or you can make it the same. I don't think it really matters because all of our sketching lines are going to be covered up. So, move this out of the way. Okay, let's make a few marks here. So let's find the middle of the bottom of the canvas, and we're gonna jump up about 2.5 to 3 inches. So right about there, just make a dot. That's gonna be where the bottom of our cupcake comes in. So let's have a look at the original. It's about where I put it, right? Yeah, pretty close. This might be, yeah, it's not quite 3 inches, so 2.5.
I'm looking something up, so.
Okay, we're gonna just turn this into a little rounded curve. Your canvas is smiling at you, and what I try to do is see if my white space is pretty equal on both sides, and if it's not, I'll just adjust accordingly. That's pretty close. It's close enough anyway. That's going to be the bottom of your cupcake. And then for the cupcake liner itself, let's have a look at how tall this is. If I were to take a ruler, what would you say? That's probably about 4.5 inches. Wouldn't you say, Paul?
Yep.
About 4.5 inches. If you have a ruler, go ahead and use it. And you can make the sides sort of flare out very artistically. And I just try to do something similar on the other side. It doesn't have to be exact. It's not exact on my original at all. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick little Charlie Brown t-shirt pattern. A little zigzag. And they're completely imperfect. They kind of get brought back later. Like I had to repaint them. So for now, just get it on there.
Bang a gong.
And then you can make your little arch of a cupcake. This is the perfect type of cupcake. It just slightly rounded over the top of the paper. If it's below it, you have not filled your cupcake liner enough with the cake mix, or you've had a humidity or too much butter issue and they've imploded and gone flat. They're too high. I'm giving you my baking knowledge. And it's too much baking powder, whatever your leavening agent is. There we go. That's a good start.
It's a good start.
It looks like Jughead's crown. That's right. Yeah, it is kind of like Jughead's crown. Let's go ahead and, you know what? Let's wash our brush. Let's fill in the background. So I want to start at the top and then just sort of work my way down into the area that gets to be a darker pink. You can do any color you want. I opted for yellow ochre mixed with white, and then I brought in the magenta in there, which makes a really nice color. I love where these two colors meet. It's great. I want to have a start at the top, though, so that the background up here has some time to dry, so that we can come right in immediately with the frosting. So go ahead and take your biggest brush, dip it in your water, dry it off on your paper towel or whatever paint rag you're using, and let's make a nice light beige with white and yellow ochre. And then I want to have you use the, what are you doing?
I told you I'm trying to figure something out.
Okay. I want you to use the corner of your brush and pick up a little of your magenta. So it has a little bit of a rosy tone, and you don't have to over mix. In fact, I like to do sort of a blot mix here so that when I paint it on, it's a little bit streaky. But let's go ahead and start right up here. Have a look. If you think, you know, I wish I had more white in this, streak your brush through the white and add some white right back on there. This particular background lends itself to all kinds of different paintings. It's sort of abstract. It's not a table or a wall or anything like that. It's just a basic background with nice warm colors. So you can see my brush strokes are choppy, sloppy all over the place. And again, that's me fighting against being too rigid. Kind of wish I had started this fight years and years ago. But here we are. We're all learning together to be less rigid in life and in painting. So Paul and I had a lot of fun yesterday. We got to go out to a winery that's about, well, it's in Oregon wine country. It's about 20, actually exactly 21 minutes from here. Because we left from here. It's where we keep all our paint supplies. And we went out to this winery, beautiful, up on a hill it's called Ghost Hill Winery, and it's because it's on top of a hill that's called Ghost Hill. And the reason it's called Ghost Hill is because years ago there was a guy staking a claim and camping. He had he found like a mine, or I don't remember the exact story.
A claim.
A claim. And in the night, someone took him out of service, as my son would put it. And it's his ghost that roams the hills up there, and several of the employees have seen it. The guy we talked to hasn't seen it. He saw a weird coyote, but that's about it. But yeah, Ghost Hill Winery, beautiful place. We taught 40 people how to paint live, and it was a lot of fun outside of the little problem we had with the wind trying to blow our paper plate palettes away. So we moved the paint filling indoors. The painting was indoors, thank God. But we thought we'd be clever and set up our palettes outside. We weren't so clever. Okay, I'm gonna take a look here, and I feel like I could have more bits of streaky white up in here. Yeah, the people enjoyed it very much. We didn't see any ghosts, but he sure wanted to blow those pallets away. I had to watch myself because I kept swearing, and then I realized there were other customers enjoying wine and a picnic table next to us.
Jenny's all mother foosbah.
Okay, so now we're going to start getting into this deep rosy shade that is so pretty. Oh, thanks, Daniel. So see that? What did you say about Jughead's hat? Fun fact. Jughead's cap is actually called a whoopee cap. Goober from the Andy Griffith Show famously wore one. Yes, and it was cut. I remember I went into a little deep dive a while back on that. And it's like a cut fedora or something. I can't remember. So go ahead and dip your brush in the magenta. Put it in here. And let's go ahead and bring that in here. You know, I'm thinking we might actually have phthalo red here. I got it out of a small bottle because I couldn't find the magenta over there, and I was like, this looks like magenta.
It's phthalo red. It doesn't matter, y'all.
Right here, I want this to blend, but this is drying a bit. So I'm going to I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm just going to dip it in my lighter color and bring some of that in there. Let it mix right on the canvas. You can bring it over the top here because the frosting's going to go there anyway. So when I'm blending something like this, I'll always pick blending the lighter color into the darker color. So we're going to blend the lighter beige down in, okay, that didn't work out good. It made the color a little too yellow ochre. Look at that. This works so nice. Bring it right up to your cupcake. And have fun with this background. I'm dipping my brush right in the, well, I guess it's phthalo red. And it's slightly different. It's just a little less intense.
And you guys, we have had an adventure of a week.
Oh yeah? What did we do? Oh, how can I forget? I was trying to forget. Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
The norovirus has hit our household. Paul and I somehow have escaped it. Knock on wood. I'm going to grab a little yellow ochre in here and streak that in down here just to add some different colorization. But yeah, my son, he likes to spend the night with his grandparents. And he'll spend the night with my parents one weekend. And then a couple weeks later, he'll spend the night with Paul's parents. And he's like the favorite grandson. He spends so much time with them. And anyway, so he spent the night at my parents' house, and my dad called me on Sunday, and he said, can you come get Hayden? He said, "Mom's sick. I don't know what's going on." You could tell he was totally stressed.
Well, you had to make lunch.
Yeah. So I go out there. My mom had been, had all the norovirus is basically stomach flu with a fancier name. And it's a fast one. And so she had it. We had masks on. We're like, we have a live painting class to teach to 40 people who rented out a winery just for us, so we cannot get it. And so we
Got lectured about how masks don't work. Oh, wait.
yeah, we did.
I didn't go there. I didn't go there.
So that was from my dad. He's a grumpy one. I'm grabbing the
I was
Magenta.
like, I'm gonna gamble on that one. I'll err on the side of safety just in case.
So then, let's see, that was Sunday. On Tuesday at midnight. No, I guess it would have been Tuesday or Wednesday?
Well, it was Tuesday. No, it was Tuesday morning.
I'm grabbing some Phthalo Red, guys, just so I can match the original.
The sleep time between Monday and Tuesday.
So yeah, our son came in and he said, "Great, I just threw up." So yeah, he had it. It ravaged through his system. Then a couple days later, Greta's now in the semi-recovery phase, and Paul and I are just like, please, we've had so many sicknesses in all our times of living. Please let this be one that we've had before, and we're not going to get it.
Well, and we were like, so yesterday was the day of our live event for 37 people, and yesterday was the day that Greta woke up sick with it. And we were like, oh, just stomachs, just hold on.
We were both like, all we ate when we left the house was like a piece of white bread toast, each of us, because we were like, if something happens and we're up there, we don't want to have a lot in our stomach. So yeah, by the end of the event, we were starving. We went and got Abby's pizza.
Big old, like...
We got a giant size one. I think we ate 3/4 of it between the two of us. Like, we hadn't eaten all day. The kids are there, meanwhile, giving us dirty looks.
For those of you not in our area, Abby's is like the total ultimate, like 1970s slash...
Pizza parlor.
It's like upscale Round Table pizza. You guys probably all know Round Table, because like Round Table is national.
Yeah, so that's
I mean, you
been
go
our
in there
week.
and they still have the fire pit in the middle of
Yeah,
the
they
conversation
do.
fire pit in
Yeah,
the middle of the
conversation
dining
pit.
room.
So we're glad that so far we've escaped, and we're hoping. So I kept thinking, oh gosh, I don't want to have to cancel my live stream, and it's just a lot.
Well, I was thinking like yesterday is like, what if one of us had like gotten to that point during the live session? It's like no problem, the other one could take over.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it was 95 degrees outside. Our option would have been to go lay down in the truck, and that would have sucked.
I think I would have driven home. I'm just sort of throwing in some darker streaks in here just to give it a little bit more contrast. I might do something where I mix the yellow ochre and the magenta. So you can see the difference, the two side by side, phthalo red and then magenta. There's definitely, one has a lot more red component, that's the magenta.
You know, it's pretty sad how many of our conversations on here revolve around us being ill.
This year in particular has been...
What the heck?
I hadn't been sick since 2019, not even with a cold, maybe a cold, but yeah, we lucked out, and then our luck ran out. I guess.
Gee, thanks.
Again, right now, all I'm doing is just kind of playing around with my own personal,
Jesus.
my own, no, I can't remember what I was going to say.
You have to admit that was pretty well.
Personal of desire of what I want the background to be. You don't have to do what I'm doing.
Come on, that was well played.
That was well played. We just read what Daniel said. kept waiting for Paul to tell me you guys got sick. I was going to tell you that you just got the horkening. Yeah, it was pretty much the horkening. And Greta has really severe emetophobia, which is the fear of
Vomit.
vomit, and it was awful for Greta. Felt bad. But I did say, you know, Greta, you're going to have to like maybe do exposure therapy or something, because in your life, you're not going to get away and get through life without ever vomiting. So
I tried to get Hayden to
consider
go
it
check on her,
exposure therapy.
on them, and apparently all he did was go down and go, "You good?" Chicky.
Okay, I think I got the background pretty decent. I'm looking at my original, and I don't know, it's got a lot of more lightness over here. We are going to do this shadow, but that won't come till later.
In the shadow.
But everybody's is going to be slightly different. I do kind of like how I have a little bit of yellow ochre coming down over here. Maybe that was too light. Maybe I'll mix a little white and magenta, get a little lighter. Oh, that magenta does make a really nice pink. I think I might do a comparison pink between the magenta and the phthalo red. See which one I like better out of curiosity. Are you doing another 80s background?
I'm into that thing right now.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Background you can continually play around with. And this particular painting, excuse me, you can have fun, and like you could add polka dots in the background later on. Maybe you hang it up for a few months and then you're like, you know, I really want to go back and add some stars or something in the background, whatever you want to do. Let's see what it would look like to add a little pink up here. I don't want to do too much pink up here, I just realized, because I don't want it to take away from the pink frosting, which is just about what we're going to start in a minute. But before we do that, let's get a basic fill-in on this. I don't want you to worry about these ridges or the fact that like cupcake liners are fluted, because we are going to come back and do that level of detail work later. What I want you to think about when you're painting the background of this, let's have a look. The color that brings out all the detail is white. So you want to keep your colors in the background darker than white so that this really stands out. So I have this color back there, I have a lot of these same colors, and then I get some blue in there, yellow, all kinds of fun stuff. So I think for this one, we might use our biggest brush to start. Oh no, Daniel. Hot dogs would be the worst coming back up. Okay, so let's mix together a color somewhere in that realm. It's just the white and magenta. White and yellow ochre. We don't want to add magenta in there yet. So I realize I just pointed to a color on here that has magenta in it. But what I meant was this. No, it's just pretty much yellow ochre and white. And go ahead and get a nice streaky base of that. So I'm going to put in some just plain yellow ochre so that I am not ending up with too solid of a base. Over here would be a good spot to have it be darker, if anything, because that's going to be in shadow later.
You know, the Visa credit card company should have really got on board with Depeche Mode and like started out like a starter's credit card for beginners as your own personal Visa. Your own personal Visa.
Are you listening? Paul just created you a jingle. That will be $2 million, please.
Something to buy you drinks.
Stop it, you're giving them ideas they're going to steal. I keep going into the background. I don't want my cupcake liner to be too wide. This would be the time if you looked at it and you thought, you know, I really would like to bring it down here a little more. Look what I can do. I can just sort of carve it in.
Something to buy you drinks, sometimes milkshakes.
The guy that Daniel was just talking about lives in Sherwood.
What
No,
guy?
I don't know him, but if I ever run into him, or he signs up for a painting class, I'll be like, you threw up hot dogs. How do you know this? I'm a medium. Okay.
Who are you, Mr. Hot Dog Vomiter?
Let's take our number 8 brush now, and if you feel like you need to refresh it in the water, go ahead, dry it off. And I'm gonna start with yellow. Boy, my yellow is dried on the top already. I think
Well,
it's
we
the
have two
fan.
fans
We have two
going.
Let us know if you hear any background noise from the fans, because we can turn them off.
That's one
We'll
fan,
just roast for you.
and that's 2-fan Sam over there.
So you can use the thin edge of your brush and just streak some of this in here throughout, and we'll add more color as these dry, because if everything's wet, it's going to blend a little bit too much, and we want it to stay on the streaky side. So I think what I'll do right now is add just the tiniest bit of the cyan. A lot of times what I like to do is dip my brush in. I didn't wash the yellow off because it's going to turn green anyway. And then just pull some aside, so I'm knocking excess paint off the brush.
That's a solid idea.
So the key here is try to be less plan. So if you find that you're doing a stripe every like 1/4 inch, you're going to come in with yellow or something and just change it up.
So the big question I have is, can we possibly do this without you holding your palette over my palette?
No. Absolutely not. I have a lot of paint on my brush, a little too much. I can tell because this isn't dry yet, so it's kind of pulling stuff away. So I'm going to I washed my brush, taking yellow, and I'm going to actually mix cyan and yellow together to get kind of a lime green. And I'll just brush some of that in there wherever I feel like it. Over here, looks pretty good. You can already see that it almost looks like I sort of did the fluted thing that the cupcake liners are, but that was unintentional. But I am sort of following the curve of the outside edges here, because that is going to help. That's something I should have mentioned, sorry. If you follow the curve of your cupcake liner sides, that's going to help a lot. Cool, cool. Let me see my picture. Oh, yeah, so my cake slice had a plate under it. And it just wasn't singing to me. The more I added to it, the more I stopped liking it. So I completely painted over it with the cupcake. You can kind of see there. See that? It's got a painting behind it. I just went, like I said, screw it and painted over it. So now we are going to lay out the frosting. I don't want you to get too nervous about this part because we're just kind of bare bones sketching, and then the detail and finish work will come later. What you put on right now is just kind of helping you along with where to add color and all that kind of thing. So this goes in, it goes in shapes. So the first shape we're going to draw is this one. So this is one shape.
Oh,
right
shoot.
here.
That's what we're working on now?
Yeah, is your canvas too wet?
No, I'm fine.
Then what were you shooting about?
Just because I felt like shooting.
Okay. So yeah, this is one shape. We're going to outline just the overall shape, and then we'll add the lines, and then we'll do this shape, and then we'll finally do this. It's kind of a Hershey's Kiss shape up at the top. So mix up your frosting color. It can be any color you like. You could make a brown if you want to do a chocolate frosting. What I would recommend if you're doing that is mix yellow, magenta, make an orange, and then just gradually add the tiniest bit of black, and then add some white to it. You'll get a nice cocoa color. I had said on one of the posts, I think the YouTube post, that a turquoise frosting would be amazing. I'm going to go with my OG color, which was the pink. And
Remember,
I'm doing straight magenta to start. We don't have to mix it with anything.
remember OG Readmore?
Yeah. And then we'll add the brown cupcake later. So for now, just dip your brush right in your magenta, number 8 brush. You're gonna use the thin edge to sketch. If you feel like you want to use a smaller brush, like what's comfortable in my hand might be different than what's comfortable in your hand. So if you like to use like a round pointed brush for sketching, I'd say go for it. I've spent so many years sketching with a flat brush that that's what I'm comfortable with. But you might be more comfortable with this one, or what? Maybe you have a round brush that's a little bigger. Okay, dokie. The liner almost looks metallic. That's cool. Wow. Hey, you're right. It kind of does, like gold. If you turn your painting upside down, it looks like a lamp. That is cool. Now we know how to paint a lamp if we ever need to do that. Okay, so let's start over here. And we're going to do one little bump like this, and then a secondary bump. And then this is going to come way up at an angle, kind of angling up almost towards this upper corner. We like high frosting. At least I do. It looks pretty, but I just don't eat it all because it's a lot of richness. And then over here, you're just going to do some more ridgy bumps because when you pipe frosting using a star tip, that's exactly what it does. And we want to round back down to that. And then across here, you want to leave space for your cupcake, the chocolate part to show. But across here, I just kind of did this, and then I think we'll change that up later. We'll refine it a little more. And now for the lines. Use the thin edge of your brush and go all the way up here. You're going to get closer and closer to that top line because what happens with the star tip, these down here are going to be farther apart, but as you get up here and you're turning it, the lines are going to just sort of get really close and twist around. You might add a little water to your paint for sketching. And now I'll do another one here. It's going to come up, it's going to turn. And I try to keep these, see how these are like all perfect? I want to make some that are not, and maybe a little wavy slightly, and it's going to twist around like that. I'll show you like that on the original. See, that's exactly how they would look. Then the next one, maybe it bows out a little right here and comes back in. But again, all these are tight together up here. And basically, you're going to keep doing this until you run out of room, which I just did. Again, I'll show you my original sketch so you can see that's exactly what we did, or what I did. It's exactly what we're doing. This next one's a little bit easier. It's going to come in just you don't want to do it as far out into the background as this one is. We're going to come in just a little bit.
Far out, yeah.
And let's just do one little thing like this that comes back. And then one above it that also comes back. And then I'm going to do one more. So see how each one kind of stair steps? So this one's further out into the background, then this one's a little less, and then the top one is a little less. Looking yummy already. Now the top part that I call the Hershey's Kiss is very easy by comparison. Very rounded, wide, little point on top. So that's like you take the frosting, you swirl it, and then you stop the pressure on the piping bag and lift. And that just gives you that nice little point. If you want to use a smaller brush for this, you can. But go ahead and maybe work on each side, working your way in, and come on up to a little point. And then this one is also going to be divided by some little piping lines. So I'll start here. I just like to start at the top and work my way down. And I try not to make them all exactly the same. It's a challenge. This one I might give a little bend. And now I'm going to start working on this outer edge. There. And then just take a look and see if there's any part that you feel like you want to refine a little. I've got a couple spots, but I think that the layout turned out pretty good. Also, I like the size of this. And now we are going to mix together a dark brown to color in our cupcake and outline this. So again, I told you a minute ago, the best way to make a brown with the colors we have here, or at least the brown I like for this particular part, is kind of like what we did with the lemons last time. We're going to make orange by mixing magenta and yellow. Add some water to that because we're going to be using some tracing, outlining, and we want watered down paint. Now just add the tiniest bit of black because you'll notice it darkens it really quick. So I just keep gradually adding more. You have to get past the sort of like gross greenish color to where it's looking more brown. If you need to add more magenta into it, that's going to warm it up a little bit if you've got the gross green color. Now we're getting where I want it to be. Maybe a little darker than that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Go ahead and color in your cupcake. If you want to make it more of a cocoa, like lighter cocoa color, you would mix a little white with this. Just coming right under the frosting here. And knowing the way the dark colors react on canvas, we'll maybe have to add a second coat later, just because they're not quite opaque enough. If we mixed white with it, we'd be golden. But we are probably going to have to do a second coat. And you can kind of refine your zigzags a little bit, if necessary, just by adding the dark. How you doing?
How you doing? I already finished my twisted tea, though.
Oh, what are you going to do now, Paul? You're going to have to go sip straight out of the vodka bottle over there in the fridge.
There's also the option of drinking water.
That's true. But after the week we've had, even our CPA told us to drink, have an adult beverage.
This is that thing that Greta tells you. You're not supposed to overshare.
Oh, what does she call that? Confessional OCD. Yes, I am the one when we go to check out at grocery stores, I have to force myself to
We
share.
had a severe virus last week.
I have to force myself to stop talking. And when Greta referred to it as that, and I looked it up, I was like, oh my gosh. I always wondered why I can't stop myself. And that's exactly what it is. It's confessional OCD. It's the perfect name for it. Okay, so I'm going to use the thin edge of this brush. I might knock off a little excess paint and come down with a nice outline here. Maybe it's why I over-describe things when I'm teaching. So maybe it's not necessarily a bad thing. See how I did this little sharp area here? I just wanted it to look like the cupcake liner sort of pokes around the edges. So it's not all just rigid in one area. Your outline, try to keep it less perfect than you want it to be. Because again, we're trying to not be rigid here. And
I want you to do outlines, but don't be rigid.
do you remember when we did the lemons, how I had us take and we pulled the outline inward for shading? That is exactly what you want to do. So you might mix a little water with some more brown, and it almost feels like you're making a heavier outline, but it's really more of a shading because we're using the water mixed with the paint. I think certain things that happens to a person clears the way for confessional blabbing. For me, it was passing a kidney stone unaided. Once I did that, everything was off the table. You should be proud of that.
Did you name it, Daniel?
You should tell all the checkers about that.
Did you give it a name? Did you give it a name?
So my confessional OCD is more of like where to check out, and the checkers like to Greta, oh, I really love that shirt, and I'll be like, thanks, we got it on Poshmark from this person in such and such, or whatever. You know, it's more like casual conversation, but it's stuff I don't need to really say. I could have just said thank you.
It's called oversharing.
Yeah, it's oversharing.
I'm guilty.
Yeah, Chatty Cathy, what are you talking about? Trying to call me out. Okay. So I'm shading across the bottom, and I'm gonna wash my brush and dry it off and just use the damp brush. Use the damp brush! And bring some of this out into the cupcake liner more so it's less linear. Just like when we shaded those lemons. Let me see. Here's my lemons. Remember these? They're shaded just the same way, where there's definite outlines there, but they're
Oh, see, we
inward.
drove Susanna already.
Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And it's Susan, not Suzanne.
Well, it says Susan.
And
My bad.
there's something else I was going to confess to, and I forgot. Oh, I know. Enjoy sleeping. That's one thing that's been avoiding me this week. So I'm excited to go home and sleep tonight as well. Okay, just shading a bit in here.
But we have the Robin Hood Festival tomorrow.
Yeah, that's why I need sleep, because I have to be in there.
Imagine that. We
Really?
live in a town called Sherwood, and we have a Robin Hood Festival. Imagine that.
Add a little more. Let's have a look at the original just for reference. It gets pretty dark over here, and that's just because I figured my light source was here, and this is going to be in shadow. I'm just going to work on shading a bit more.
Shadow.
Yeah, we have a Robin Hood Festival. It's the 71st Robin Hood Festival tomorrow. Or actually, it starts tonight. And because our theater space, our nonprofit space, is right there in the heart of the middle of the Robin Hood Festival location, we are doing some events in there. We have a Shakespeare troupe.
We do. We have a Shakespeare club.
That does a performance. They're doing a performance from A Midsummer Night's Dream. Not the whole play, but like there's like a play within the play. It's been so long since I've seen A Midsummer Night's Dream. But so they're doing that. And then we have I invited some vendors to have booths where they could sell some of their handmade items. So we'll have, this one guy's bringing wood bowls that are resin and wood, and they're done on one of those lathe looking things.
Yeah, a lathe.
But he called it something different.
Wood turning?
Turned wood bowls is what he called it.
Yeah, it's what you use a lathe for.
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, that's cool. I was super happy to have him in there. And then we have a baker. And
Do we have a candlestick maker?
No, we don't have a candlestick maker. There was one who'd never responded to my email, so I guess she's out.
Daniel, one of those lathe things. Yeah, a lathe.
So I'm just playing around with the shading on the edges and really trying to get it in over here. But also knowing I'm going to come back and add more color because I want some pink down in here.
But not up in here. Oh.
And maybe some kind of this coral orange color. Right now, though, I need to mix some more dark brown because this is dry and ready for a second coat. So that was yellow, Magenta. I'm gonna do a confessional thing here. I'm sitting here mixing my paint, and my phone's next to me, and a message pops across the top screen, and it's Greta saying, "How do I become a food influencer?"
Tell her not by vomiting.
I love that. Greta, actually, we have told Greta since she was very young that you need to be a food critic because Greta's the type that can sniff out anything. Like, oh, this beer has pine in it if we let her smell it. And also is super hypercritical about restaurants' food. Like, today they're, like, we'll go to a sushi place that we normally go to, and she'll be like, today their crab salad was off. And I'm like, I don't notice that. And then I'll, like, really pay attention. And I'm like, actually, yeah, their crab salad just has a tiny bit more mayo today. That's the only thing.
I'm going to tell my Greta trying alcohol story
Okay.
when she was a kid.
Are you confessing?
No. It's a funny story.
Don't puke on camera unless that's your shtick.
So when I was a kid, growing up, and we'd go to family barbecues and stuff, and my dad was not much of a drinker, but he would sometimes have a beer at a barbecue or something. And I would always be like, what's it like? You know, and so like I'd see other kids my age too, like the same thing. Their dads would let them take a drink of beer, and
Yeah.
you take a sip and you're like, this is nasty, gross, and then you never want to touch it again.
Hold on, I'm going to talk for just a second. I'll let you get back to your story.
That's convenient.
I'm going to use my smallest brush and a little water in my brown color because if you look at the original, it has a lot more tiny zigzags. So this one would be a little bit bigger cupcake liner, but for me personally, I want to put in a few more of those. So the way I'm going to do is just carve them out of the liner itself using my littlest brush and brown, and I'll just come in and just add little V's like that without like trying to over refine it. They can be not necessarily even. Okay, go ahead, Paul.
So we were at a barbecue with friends, and Greta was probably about 6. Yeah, that's about right, about 6. And I was having a Bud Light, which is not normally, like, I'm a little bit more of a craft beer type of person. And so she's like, Dad, can I have a sip? And I guess it was Coors Light, not Bud Light. So I give her a sip, and she's like, that's not too bad. I was like, okay, great. You can't have any more tonight. So then we go fast forward a month or so, and we're at another gathering. We used to have quite a large social group that we would spend way too much time drinking with. And I had an IPA, like a nice, real hoppy West Coast IPA. I don't know about those of you guys on the East Coast if you know, but West Coast IPA is a different thing. A little bit more bitter, more intense. And she tastes it, and she's like, oh, now we're talking. This is good. She's like, I taste citrus and pine, and this is really tasty. I'm like, jeez. Talk about your all-time backfires. So it goes more. There's more. Go fast forward and maybe another 6 months or so. We're Christmas time. We're over at some friend's house for a white elephant party. And I've got a glass of just bullet whiskey on the rocks. She's like, can I try it? She's like 7 at this point.
Jeez, turning her into a lush.
I'm just like, you know, I'm not like giving her like a glass. I'm letting her take a sip. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm thinking maybe this will be finally the thing that, like, she's like, no. So she takes a sip and she goes, that burns, but it tastes good. I'm like, okay, we're not doing this anymore. We're done with this game. You can't, no more sips until you're 21. So that's my funny Greta story. She has a very refined palate and a very mature palate, and always has. And partly when we used to have the wine as part of our shop, she would be there when we would have our wine rep would come in, and we didn't let her drink wine, but we let her smell it and tell us what she would smell, and she would hit the notes perfectly. Jenny, you just showed everybody your passcode for your phone.
That's totally fine. It's the easiest passcode ever.
No, you don't need to overshare this part. All right?
I'm just responding to Nicole. They're out of water.
Wasn't my job to buy it.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go. I am going to now put some more color down here. So I want to use probably my number 8 brush, and I'm going to mix a coral color. So that would be your yellow, magenta, and some white. Paint is drying fast. And I'm gonna get a little of that in here, just in little scribbles.
You are again holding your palette over my palette.
You don't need your palette.
I kind of do.
And now I think I'll mix a little more magenta with that color just to change it up. You don't want it super duper dark, but having another level of color in there is good.
Another level.
I'm gonna wash the brush, and I'm going to mix cyan and white to get a light blue. Yeah, our group is at the theaters. They're working the Robin Hood Festival tonight, and they're in there, and they're like, we don't have water, we don't have this, we don't have that, and we're like, well, you told us not to order anything, so I'm like, you're gonna have to run over to the market down the street. All right, I like the blue in there. And now I'm going to add, I think, just a little bit of pink. But actually, let's add the pink when we have the pink mixed up for our frosting. I'm gonna go back to my color and my picture, I mean. Yeah, so this is the next step we're gonna get to. So we mix a little bit lighter than the outlines, so that's just white with your magenta. And I'm gonna try this out. Yeah, that's good. Let's go ahead and streak in some color in between the outlines. And this is where you can get a little fancier. So I'll maybe do a couple bands of this. And to get it shaded, kind of shaded looking, like the original, let me pull it back over here. See how this is shaded? We do put some white across the top here, but this is shaded from here, light pink down into a darker pink, and then later I came in with some orange just to try it out and see how it looked. It probably wasn't necessary, but it did look pretty good. So I'm gonna take just plain magenta without washing my brush, and I'll shade the bottom side of this one blobby frosting area. I don't know what to call it. It's one ridgy thing. And I'll do that with the other one too. Just add some shading down along there. And now back to the light pink. Hi, Julie. Nice to see you here. There was a Robin. Oh, the Robin Hood movie with Kevin Costner. Prince of Thieves. I remember that in the 1990s. It's actually a pretty good movie. What a dope. He tripped on a rope. Now look at him shiver. I actually have been wanting to watch that movie again because it's been so long, and every once in a while I think of it, and I think a lot of times it's if I hear that Bryan Adams song.
Everything I do, I do it for you.
That song was so popular. I had to sing it at my aunt's wedding. That was funny, just thinking back on that.
There's no love.
I'm going to go ahead and take and fill in the rest of these. So I'm leaving the darker pink outlines as much as I can. You can cover them a little. And just filling in between those, and then I'll come in and do some more of that shading that I talked about. So is there a reason why whenever I try to clean my brush, it never seems to come off as clean as yours do? Well, there's a lot of, I push it down on the bottom of the cup, but so that the brush is not poking, which you probably know by now, that you want it to bend and do that. But mainly I think a lot of the pigment comes out when you dry your brush. And I do almost always have some residual paint left on my brush. It's there, it's just hiding. So now I'm going to go right into the darker, right out of the tube magenta, or whatever color you're using. If you're doing different colored frosting, just use a darker version of the color. So let's say you're using turquoise, like I mentioned earlier. Maybe mix a dark blue with some of your turquoise to make a color that's a couple shades darker. So really what we want to end up with is kind of this stripy feel. What color are you doing yours? Oh, that's nice. Very cool. What did I do over here? Another one. And you can add more lines anywhere that you feel like, oh, maybe I need another ridge there. And if you think about this area, it's a little bit further from the light source, which is up in here. So it can be, you can have some thicker areas of the darker pink in here, like it's in shadow. And then I'm gonna come back and maybe shade a little bit more on some of these areas that were just a tiny bit too wet when I started. I absolutely loved working in the cupcake shop. It was so much fun, and I loved my boss. But yeah, I just started Gogh, and I was ready to try something different after 2 years. I'm just sort of refining some of these areas where the frosting sets on top of the cupcake, because I feel like some of them are maybe a little sharp pointed and they need to be a little rounder. Hope that was a little bit too light.
My version of the cupcake is going to be my version of the cupcake. I'll just leave it at that. I need water.
Oh, Alan Rickman was great in that movie. There were some really great lines in that movie too. I was thinking of I'll cut your heart out with a spoon. The guy's like, why a spoon, cousin? Because it's dull, it will hurt more.
What was
Do you
that?
remember that?
No. What was that from?
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh. Oh, that's what we're talking about.
You know what? I've never seen Braveheart. Have you seen Braveheart, Paul?
No.
What's wrong with us? We have never seen it.
You know, your dad ruined it for us.
He did?
Yeah, and
Did
it
you
had
watch
nothing
it
to do
over
with
and over?
it had nothing to do with Braveheart. It had to do with Rob Roy.
No, there's a movie called Rob Roy.
I know.
Why did that ruin Braveheart?
Because after hearing your dad go, Rob Roy, you dirty little boy, over and over and over again, I had wanted nothing to do with Braveheart too.
He was vocally stimming. So you should have some kind of blended streaks of frosting going on. So you can see the outlines, but they are sort of blended. And you can blend them more just by coming in and glazing over the edge where the dark shaded color starts with the lighter pink. And that helps blend. And then what's really going to be the game changer with this is when we come in with the white. Because the white turns it into a nice crisp edge like you would get using a star tip on the frosting bag.
I don't know what just happened. Why is my cup way over there?
Now, one thing you can do that's kind of cool too is, so we used a light pink and then the dark right out of the tube, magenta. And so we technically have two different shades of pink going on here, but you probably have more because when you shade the two colors together, you get multiple different tones. But one thing you can do is make a lighter pink, lighter than what you made for your shading, but not quite white. And you can come in and on the top edge of some of these, do some little pops of that color. Really pale pink, not white. And see how I'm just sort of skipping around, but I'm trying to keep it in the light pink area. So it would be like, when I say the top edge, I'm talking about where this white is. This would be the top edge of your frosting piping. Already looking good. I thought you wanted nothing to do with Braveheart because of Mel Gibson.
That too.
All right, let's wash the brush. We're going to work on these areas now. And go ahead and use your, not the lightest pink we just used, but the one that's just a shade darker than that. And we'll do what we did with this one. We're going to color in between. It seems like I missed this. How weird. How did I miss that? That's part of this lower shape I'm doing. Go ahead and fill in between your outlines loosely. And now, while this is still wet, you can wipe your brush off or wash it. And use the straight out of the tube magenta. Look at my palette, I keep running out of room. And shade the bottom side, working your way up. When the paint is this wet, it can be not so easy to work with. But it does help the blending a bit. Paint's drying pretty fast. Oh no, I got into the background. Touch that up. So it's looking sort of cartoony right now. And we'll fix that up with a lot of the shading we add in here and highlighting. Now I'm gonna add, again, a little bit lighter pink, not quite white, very pastel. Maybe along the sides is a great spot because our light source coming in is gonna glance off there.
You know it's true.
Everything I had to do.
I painted for you.
Oops, tried to wash my brush. Didn't quite make the brush into the cup. Trying to read the text on here. I can still, wait, I still can marry Elizabeth Master Antonio yelling Robin in this video. Yes. Inside Out to top of your cupcake looks like the thing they created for the main character. I have not seen it, but I've seen the first one in the theater. So yes, that reference makes no sense, but that's okay.
For what?
Character from Inside Out too. Daniel wants to know how Visa can use that song in a commercial.
Oh, let's see.
I'm gonna mix my mid shade pink and come in between these. Oops, that needs to be a little bit pinker.
Now you put me on the spot.
Everything I charge it for you. Mhm. Okay, so I want to, now look, that looks really bad because I don't have the darker shading in it. I'm gonna add that now. Okay. Where do I add it? Okay. Yeah, kind of in between. Oops, I have too much water.
I know there's that one part in the Bryan Adams song where he's like, listen to your heart, listen to your
Are
heart.
you
could
still
be like,
thinking about
you could be like, listen to your card.
brother?
I don't know.
There's no Visa like your Visa and no other could give me more. There's nowhere in this. Okay, now I'm gonna make that lighter shade of pink, the one that's almost white but not quite. Hey, I made a rhyme. Almost white but not quite, and we are going to take that shade and just add a few little glistening spots in the lighter areas. And I have a little bit lighter shade than I made before, so I might actually just have fun and add some of that down in here.
There's nothing more to do. We pre-approve for you.
It's funny, we told everyone we were unavailable in live streaming tonight, and it's like they're still texting us questions. Come on, you have to be able to run this nonprofit without us there too. I know we're important and we do a lot of things. I could just shut off my phone notifications, but then I wouldn't hear from Greta telling me that Greta wants to be a food influencer. So funny.
I don't want to brag, but I'm kind of a big deal
You are a big deal.
when it comes to running that nonprofit organization.
They couldn't do it without you, because everything you do it for them. Well, they're just gonna have to deal tonight. Okay. Thinking out loud. I think what I'm gonna have us do real quick, we'll let the cupcake dry a bit, and we will cast this shadow down here. So that needs to be brown mixed with some magenta in it, because it does kind of take on the pinkish tone. And I'm probably going to use my number 8 brush, and I'll just mix the brown right here on top of the old one. My paint is all getting pretty dry. And I would say make this a little bit more of a warmer brown. So we're going to add more pink to it than we did last time. So more magenta, I should say. Or if you have red. And this one, we really want to water down a lot. So let me find a clean space on my palette. Right in here is good. This is a good color. But see how much water I'm adding to it without trying not to drip on my painting. This is good. Wipe your brush off. Even if it feels like you have no paint on there, you do. Like, look, never mind, I had no paint on it. My point didn't work. So your light up here is going to make this cast a shadow back this way. And you can gradually make it darker and darker. And it's going to, let's have a look at the original. I know I like to reference it a lot. It's just going to, like, I didn't do an exact cupcake shape. I just was like, I need to ground this cupcake to this space. And so I just brushed across the bottom. You want that shadow to come right up to the bottom of the cupcake. And then just extend it outward. Oops, that's the wrong color. There we go. Just extend it outward and let it be the suggestion of a shadowy shape. And you can use your bigger brush, cleaned off, dried off, and sort of blur this out at the edges. And I could come in and just throw a little magenta in there. I know that's what I did with the last one. Just extend it off the side of the canvas here. This part though, you do want a pretty angular line. This is just doing that thing where it casts a nice long shadow. And the other thing I kind of liked that I did on the original was I put some white in here. It's actually kind of a light pink. Just to, what I was thinking at the time was this casting a reflection on some surface. And that's optional. You could leave it off. I did like it. I'm going to try and do it and cross my fingers and hope it turns out the way I want it to. But I think instead of just straight white, just mix up a really pale pink like we've been using up here. Very little paint on your brush, and just make some angular streaks that sort of is suggesting that maybe this cupcake liner is reflecting down here. Could even like throw some in there. Here we go. Thank you, Julie. Oh my gosh.
What?
Daniel sucks. I think most people watching this video are glad my chat is not audio. All right, let's work on that frosting. This part's pretty easy. It was the last thing I did when I did the painting itself. And I feel like my frosting on the new one is maybe a little more, yeah, it's a little smaller seeming, but that's okay. This is where we want to give the impression of sharpness, because the star tip, it squeezes the frosting into like a little ribbon, several little ribbons. So by doing this white cut in across the top, that's how you get that look. And then also, like, these two kind of parallel each other, but then I started making sure that some kick up, and I was just looking at different images of cupcakes and cupcake paintings, thinking how I wanted to do it. And I've taught cupcake paintings before, and they were just, everything was kind of smoothed out and whimsical and fun. But for this particular one, I really wanted to challenge myself and in turn challenge you guys to give it the look of a more realistic frosting. It obviously is not realistic in any way, shape, or form, but it is more realistic than some other cupcake paintings that I have done and that I've seen. Because you can keep them pretty simple, or you can go a little extra. We're gonna go a little extra. Now, brush-wise, you want to use something that's nice and sharp and not frayed. And I think when I did the original, I used my number 4, but this number 4 is pretty frayed. Let's see how yours is. Usually, oh, yours is really frayed. Let's look at Paul's. There's Paul's. It's like flared out. I will go ahead and zoom in. And we are just going to go for it. Get this
Mine does the job that doth been asked of it.
That what?
I don't know. I went to Shakespeare last night.
Oh, okay. Okay, so white paint. White has a little bit of a skin on the top because of the fans. And there we go. I'm going to go along the top edge here, real thin. And it's going to come up to there. And you can sort of blend it down just a little bit if it feels like it's too much of an outline. And you can bring some highlight down in here too. So this one is a little, it's like the original, but it's a little too smooth and straight. And this is where I want to kind of change things up a little bit and make it a little wobbly. It's when you're piping frosting on, your hand moves around a lot. And you can always come in and just kind of tap more white in some areas. Or again, if it feels a little bit too much like an outline, you can haze that color down a little bit. See the difference though? This one is, and like I said, that's how I did the original too. It got started with kind of a smooth one, and then I started bending them around, and that's when it really looked way better. And this one's going to be even more bendy. You don't have to start right at the bottom either, but like the bottom of the cupcake. There are several in the original that the highlight like starts way up in here. Well, this one looks totally out of place, so I'm going to change it up just a bit. Next one's going to start just a little bit above the cake itself. One thing I like to do is just blend it down in some spots, like kind of fuzz it down, but then other spots leave it just like the crisp line.
You know, everything I do it for you song is actually like a really good example of gaslighting.
You're still thinking about that.
Of course. Keeps me focused.
Let's see, that's what I'm going to do right here.
I'm not still thinking about it, but my brain just revisited it.
So sometimes these ridges can be really close together, especially as we're turning the corner here.
I'd buy for you.
You just discovered you can. Daniel just discovered we can do emojis. There's a cupcake emoji. Yeah, it does look very similar to the method of doing waves on a beach and ocean. That is what I taught yesterday. It was called Tropical Getaway, and some of our old-timey members will remember that. We taught it, I think, in I'm going to say it was January 2021, maybe? Or maybe it was January 2019. No, we didn't start then.
No, 2020.
Yeah, 2020. It was 2020 or 2021. We were just like, you know what? It's the dead of winter. Let's do something tropical. And that's what the group chose yesterday. Because a lot of times I'll send them, when big groups want live classes like that, I'll send them some of the Go Box paintings, but not all of them. Because there are a lot of them that have to be taught like this, where we can zoom in. Because there's a little extra detail. So we try to keep the live classes paintings a little more on the simple side, especially the more painters there are, because people really run out of gas. And we'll see it and we'll hear it, because we'll hear a lot of like audible sighing.
Jenny took a break last night towards kind of close to the end, and I'm like, you're going to have a battle getting these people back. Because like, we know, and she knew it. She didn't need me to tell her that, but it's like there hits a certain point. Like, we don't take breaks in here, but when we teach, we do take breaks because people need a little breather.
Mm-hmm.
And I could just tell by their demeanor that they were going to be a hard one to get back.
Oh, getting them back was like herding cats, but it was totally expected because they'd been drinking wine all day, and you know, we were at the end of the painting, and I think most people just wanted to get up and stretch and be done. But we had 20 minutes left to go. So hopefully you guys who are painting along or will end up painting along later, you can kind of see and understand what I'm doing. It's really easy, and it's a nice way to give it that extra little artistic flair. Now up top, basically the same thing, it's just we're going in a slightly different direction. So right here is a great spot, right on the edge, or just inside the edge, because the light's going to hit there. But the key is to try to make some of these a little wobbly so they're not too perfect. Take a look at some online pictures of frosted cupcakes and really look at them.
I feel like we need to do a snowman cupcake called Frosted the Cupcake.
Frosted the Cupcake?
Yeah.
Oh, GoBots paintings. GoBots, GoBots, Go. Was that a song? Why do I have that in my head?
It was a GoBots
Yeah.
song.
Daniel, have you ever seen the Aquabats? That was a fun show that my kids were really into when they were young, and I saw they do live tours as musicians. So if I were to critique myself on this painting, I would say my top piped poof is a little too evenly spaced with the stripes than I would prefer. But having frosted a billion cupcakes, a lot of times that top piece ends up like that because you've done your full twist. That's where things are going to get pulled out of shape. But when you do that top little dollop, it's a little more, a little less wobbly than some of the other stuff. So now I'm just going to come back, see what I can change up a little.
See what you can do.
This one in particular, the one I said was too straight across, that one can be changed up pretty easily by making a whole nother white ridge line, and then I'll bring some pink in underneath that, so it's like I created a new line altogether, so I'll cover up some of that. Then if you feel like you want to add any more deeper shading in the inner grooves, like here where it's really dark, I feel like I could do that with this one. And just sort of blend that out, so soften up the edge of the color you just added in by brushing a mostly unpainty brush. So you want to, if you have to wipe your brush off, you can totally do that. Oh my gosh, yesterday, or not yesterday, I guess it was a couple days ago, I ordered screen printing stuff. Because Greta did screen printing in the last trimester of high school and really liked it, and we talked about getting screen printing stuff. I did it in high school too, but that was so long ago that remembering all the little details of
We have a book about
how you do it were escaping me a little. So we're gonna try some screen printing and see how that goes. Maybe you'll see palette knives out, art cast T-shirts or mugs or something. Actually, I don't know how you do mugs, but it'll be pretty fun. Greta's really into making T-shirts.
I have a whole book on how to do screen printing and make a business out of it.
Yeah, but is it relevant now with like the digital age and everything?
Well, what you bought isn't.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about like Speedball ink, and pretty excited to have fun with it. But we do this. We go into like these creative. Our whole family does. Well, except for Hayden. We go into like these little creative pockets where we're like, I'm gonna buy this and this and this and this, and it's fun. And then it just kind of sits. But I think a lot of people do that. I think that is the deal. I think it's kind of fun, though. I'm one who definitely likes to learn a little about everything. So again, I'm just kind of refining some of these darker pockets. And now I think I'm going to show you what it would look like if you decided to add some orange in there. And that's just to kind of add artistic flair again. Here's my original. You can see the little streaks of orange. I didn't add too many because I wasn't 100% sure if I liked it. I didn't love it, but I did like it. I didn't love it, though. So it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, I'll just add a little. So if you want to do that, I will show you how now. First, I got to find some clean magenta. Most of it's been infected with black paint. There we go. And I'm going to steal some of Paul's yellow because you have a lot
And it was
under the
all
skin.
yellow.
So I want to keep this on the pinker side of orange. Pretty close to what I have now, I think is good. Oh, they're messaging again, Paul. might remind them we're live streaming. They can't live if living is without you. Okay, orange. A little at a time. See if you like it. You can try different colors if you want to try something that you feel like would fit with this layout and color selection. Or you can just be like, nope, I'm staying with just the pink. Here we go. You knew of the Wiggles. Well, you should look up the Aquabats. They are fun. Adults like them too. I really enjoyed the Aquabats.
Aquabats
I
are
would have
pretty
gone
amazing.
to their concert, but then I remembered that I don't like going in giant crowds of people when I don't like I have to really like the artist to go to a concert. Let's just say that.
Didn't stop you from going to The Cure.
I really like the artist.
Didn't stop you from going to
Lifelong fan.
Rob Zombie.
You know, I actually like outdoor concerts better than indoor.
The Cure was indoor.
I know, but it was in a big venue and I love The Cure.
Hey, and the Psychedelic Furs was a good show.
I'm just adding a couple little highlights down along here just to make this stand out a little more. In September, we're going to go see David Kushner, who's like a newer artist that I really have come to like. But it's like at the Schnitz. It's a nice spot.
Oh, is it the Schnitz?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I went and saw John Cleese.
Yeah. Alright, it's doing good here. The frosting I feel like is pretty well close to done. And we'll add the optional sprinkles on the top. This is where you could take a smaller brush if you want and just hit up some of the white areas with an extra little pop of the white. Ah. Cool, cool, cool. Alright. Looking pretty good. And now the cupcake liner itself is very easy and the sprinkles are just like how we do stars, dots with the handle. So we are going to finish this painting up in, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. Sort of, kind of. So what time are we at right now? 7:04, that's great. Good deal, good deal. All right. White paint and a smaller brush. So either your number 4 or this little round guy. Let's try it out and see. I feel like these little zigzags might, having that flat brush might actually come in handy. So I'm going to try that out. Knowing myself and how I paint, I'm sure that's what I use. Let me zoom in a little. And I'll start over here. So, oops, that was attached to that. Let's have a look at the original. Sorry, I usually like to show that too. So here's what I did. I did a nice, kind of rough outline across the top. You can see it's not like fully perfected. We want to try to keep from doing that too much, unless that's the look you like. I don't want to steer you away if you really like something that's a little more perfected, because everybody has different styles. And I would like to think that not one is wrong. So you do you, that's what I would say. And then I brought the white not all the way down. I kind of came part way down, and then I came up from the bottom in a few areas, but I left this one pretty dark. Fight the urge to be rigid. I am fighting it right now. Funny how the human brain is like that. I guess maybe yours isn't, Paul.
No.
Gonna come down here, partway. And then the areas that I paint down from are, let's see, is there another palette behind you? Yes, there is. Okay, I want you to imagine that the color I'm painting with is white. So this is our Cupcake liner, really basic and blown up version. The areas that would be highlighted with the white are like these areas that dip down. So pretend this is white. So these are just folds. And they're like this side that's getting the light is going to be highlighted. Now this is a big chunky version. I don't want you to be so big and chunky with your painting in the actual painting itself, but think about it that way. Look at pictures. So like when I pick where I'm going to highlight next, it's usually right at one of those, right here. Which version are you singing though, Jenny? Badfinger, Harry Nilsson, or Mariah's? What was I singing?
I don't know. Oh, I can't live. Can't live. Living is without you.
Did Nelson sing? Oh, Harry Nilsson. I thought Nelson. I read it as Harry Nilsson, but my brain went, Nelson!
After the rain.
When Paul and I started dating and I found the Nelson CD in his bedroom, I had to reconsider, like, am I okay with this?
It's all right. My high school girlfriend gave it to me. Okay, but come on, who doesn't love a little? I can't live without your love and affection.
We enjoy laughing at the music videos now because they're so corny. Actually, a ton of the 80s hairband videos are so corny, but it's fun. So one thing you can do with these little lines that we're putting on is if you've ever grabbed a cupcake, sometimes they get a little crushed and like will be a little wobbly. Crush. And I like to occasionally have a few in there that are like that.
Like the Paula Abdul song? Oh no, that was Rush.
Oh,
My bad. That was the one with Keanu Reeves in the video, remember?
So over here, I'm not going to go down quite as far just because it's
Paula
away
Abdul.
from the light.
I think I said Mariah Carey, but that was Paula Abdul.
And then you can come up, like, drop down a little bit, maybe come up from the bottom just a little, just to suggest that these lines carry all the way through. Or maybe add a hint of another one in between or something.
Have you ever seen the Ken Lee video?
No? Who's that?
So it's the I can't live if living
Oh,
is
Ken
without.
Lee, yeah.
And it's the lady who's singing it phonetically, like in like the Philippines, and she's like Ken Lee. And like it's like for like a America or
Aww.
like
That's so cute. That's adorable.
What is it, like
America's Got Talent or whatever.
or something, but it's in their country, and like the hosts are totally cracking up because they know what she's doing.
That's adorable. Now, any spot on here that you feel like maybe you're like here, maybe my white line is a little too thick, I could leave it. It's probably not a big deal, but I will show you like what you could do to reduce the appearance of that a little bit. Is you come in with one of your background colors that you use and throw some of that in there to thin it out from the inside. think a good color is the yellow ochre mixed with white. So it's very subtle. Adds some color, but is pretty subtle, so it's not going to be like, yeah, you're adding a streak of red to something that's already finished. And you can come through, and if you feel like you didn't add enough color through here, you can come through and add more. Painting never has to be done, only just abandoned. Awesome. I'm happy with the way this is turning out. Pretty close to the original, little more, probably a little more refined than easier for me to paint unrefined on my own, but when I'm teaching it, I tend to want to refine stuff a little more. Okay, let's add some sprinkles on top, totally optional. So some of the things I thought about with the sprinkles were, and maybe I'll do it on this one just to change it up, and we're pretty much done, so we got some time. So here's what I'll do with the dots. Use the handle of one of your brushes. If you want larger ones, just use the handle of your largest brush. And you can do any color. I just picked white because I wasn't sure how long this painting would take, so I wanted to keep it kind of simple, just in case some of the shading and stuff took longer than expected. It felt like I was painting forever when I designed this because, like I said, it started with a cupcake, became a cake, and then went back to a cupcake. So I was painting for probably a couple hours maybe. So when that registers in your head, when you're developing a painting to teach, you don't think like, oh yeah, that painting just took me 45 minutes so I can teach it in an hour and a half. You think, I was painting for 2 hours. How long is this gonna take? I don't know. I do like the look of these cute little sparkly sprinkles, but you can do larger ones mixed in there. So let's say I'm gonna make a light blue with white and blue, cyan. Mix some water with it because the humidity has been zapped out of this paint. And like some of the sprinkles, you guys know these kind, the bar kind. And you want to make sure that they're going different directions on your cupcake. So I'm going to put a few of these on here. But I'm first going to do some larger round, these are called like non-parallels or something. I actually never learned how to pronounce it. I just always called them rainbow sprinkles. I don't know what is, if there's non-parallels, what is parallels? Is it something bad? I don't know. But this really makes it fun. Make sure that you, if you're doing this, make sure you put some that are like partway on the sides so it doesn't look like you just pasted a bunch of dots on. You want to give it a little bit of a three-dimensional feel. Look at that, how cute.
How cute is that?
And then, let's see, I'm going to take some more yellow from you.
Girl, get your own yellow.
Nope, this is fine. Oh, this is a good color. Maybe I'll add a tiny bit of white to it. So I made sort of a key lime color. Do some little dots in that color. They don't all have to be the same size. But then I talked about those bar-shaped ones. That would be just like you're painting a tiny little hot dog shape. Hot dogs, that is the theme of the night. Hot dogs and cupcakes. Because Daniel was talking about hot dogs earlier. And it is a hot dogs and cupcakes kind of night, I guess. Those don't show up super great. So I'm going to take a different color. Let's see, what do I want to do? Think. I think magenta won't show up very good either, but let's see. Maybe just some pale yellow ones. Yellow with a little white. The white will help it show up and be a little more opaque. And obviously some of these are, as they're drying, are very see-through, so they'll need a second coat. And try to focus on making sure they face different ways. And then sometimes there's going to be two really close to each other. That's one of the things that helps your painting not look too planned and rigid. Vary stuff up a little bit. There's a face in the white splotch on the palette. It looks like a poodle.
That's what we've been missing.
And one of the things that's kind of fun is you can throw like some of the sprinkles down here if you wanted to. Oops. Forgot I'm zoomed in. So yeah, you can put little sprinkles down there. Maybe some of these green ones would be cute. I'm gonna give some of these green ones a second coat. I like sprinkle mixes that have different shapes and sizes in them. So this is like kind of my favorite sort of look for an actual cupcake. And then I have the little tiny white sparkles, but maybe I will add a different color of those. What color? Maybe some dark blue because I have quite a bit of cyan on my palette. Ugh. Skin on the top. Okay, that didn't work as well as I thought it would. Almost done. You guys can be done now, or you can keep playing around. It's really fun to decorate like this. It's like decorating a cake without making the mess.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Depends on how messy of a painter you are. Just hitting these blue little dots with a little extra paint because they were drying a little see-through too. And then maybe I'll throw a few of those down here that have fallen off as well. You can go right in the shadow area. I love it. That's really cute. The other thing, like if you really wanted to get extra fancy, so these little rod type sprinkles have there's like a shiny coating on them. So if you have a tiny little brush and a steady hand, you can go through and add a shine to some of these. Like you have to figure out where your light source is though. We all know the light source is upper corner here. So you'll want to highlight like the top edge that's facing up that way. And even these little dots, like these little blue ones, great little spot for a highlight. You see those shiny little hard candies that break your teeth? The round ones. These ones are nice and soft. And probably full of all kinds of bad color dyes for you. But hey, this one is chemical free and no calories. Don't forget these guys on the ground. My goal here is try to not make maggots. No white ones. These over here in the shadow maybe wouldn't get so much of a highlight. Maybe a tiny one. Let's zoom out and see the whole thing. Yes, I love it. Look at how fun that is. Now this one's fun too, but like we just kicked it up a notch. We made a party cupcake. Oh, good night, Marlene. Good night, Julie. Sorry, I missed your messages. Paul's not on top of it as much as I am when I'm the passenger painter.
I'm
Right,
painting.
Paul?
I'm painting.
All right, I'm gonna sign this painting up now. I'm excited to see. You guys can post your paintings when you do them if you want. I love seeing them so much. All right, let's see what Paul came up with.
Okay, almost done.
Party Paul with his party cupcake.
Finite. Fin. I didn't do sprinkles.
You've been going wild with your backgrounds lately. Oh, and you changed the light source.
Yeah.
Fun.
Mine kind of looks like a
fun.
sinister, like this is the last cupcake left at on the picnic table, and nobody really wants to eat it because it's been sitting out in the sun, and who knows how many flies. Actually, there's a little critter.
Oh yeah. Let's zoom in on that. So Paul, you put a little spider on the lemons one too. Oh my gosh, I put my finger in your white paint. Look at that. That is funny. Is that your new signature move?
Yeah, but I should have nestled them in up here. Or just given the cupcake itself eyes.
Very fun. Very fun.
Yours looks better. Mine kind of looks like a purple turd.
It's the purple poop
It's
emoji.
coiled like cobra.
Looks like Paul's is sorbet. Yeah, it's quickly melting sorbet. Yeah, because of the color. Gives it kind of a sorbet feel. Or gelato.
Yeah.
Super fun. Love it.
All right, let's bring it back. We're coming back. Here we come. Whoop, just kidding. No, we're coming. Hey.
We're here.
We're here.
Thank you so much for painting along with us. We are going to be doing a live stream. Let me see what next Friday is. I guess I'll be changing the passcode on my phone. No, just kidding. Like, I don't care if anyone looks at my phone. Wait a minute, I have credit cards in here. Okay, let's see. What is next Friday? 26th. It seems like we have something the 26th, but no, in my calendar I have live stream 5:30, so you're on for the next one.
I'll be painting furiously between now and then to come up with the most fantastic painting we have ever done.
It has to be a hot dog now.
It will not be a hot dog.
I don't remember. You had said something to me that you wanted to paint, and I can't remember what it was. For the
I don't
life
remember.
of me.
I have an idea for another more like big piece, but
Yeah. Let us know if there's anything that you've been really hoping for, because I know a lot of times you guys make suggestions, and sometimes we'll forget just because we get too busy, and it'll be like a year
Us?
later. Oh, wait, I remember someone wanted a red barn or something.
us too busy, never.
So, yeah, animals, landscapes, certain parts of the United States or outside the United States that you really want to do a painting of, we're happy to do that. You've done an Eiffel Tower painting before.
It's been a
Kind
while.
of fun. It's
Been a while.
It's an interesting building
since
to
I
paint,
was-
the Eiffel Tower. Very, very
Hold my
interesting.
head up high.
Right.
It's been a while.
All right, let's sign off and
Yeah, the Eiffel Tower
get
is
into
interesting.
some AC, and yeah, it is.
It's almost like it's easier to
Ouch,
paint
just kicked
the
my toes
structure
into
and
the-
then paint the sky back in through it.
Yeah, and then the bottom legs kind of bow
You know what we
out.
could do is we could do
Or
the
did-
sun coming down through the Eiffel Tower with sun rays coming through all the little holes.
No!
It'd be like a disco ball.
No.
It'd be a disco ball.
All right, let's get
Disco.
out of here. Let's get in some AC.
We're out of
Good
here.
to see you guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you next Friday. Same place, same time.